Always. I'm gonna have him introduce him.
So I'm going to introduce a special individual. He's a legend in the hip hop community. A lot of people wrote him off as dead, like they did to me one time. But it happens, right? People don't get the right information. But here he is, the one and only Lenny Len, original RCA member, original Rockwell member. Thank you for coming down, my brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Storm. Thank you, Kid T, my Rockwell brother. And it's an honor to be here. It really is an honor to be here. And I'm sorry that people wrote me off as dead. I don't know where that comes from, but I'm alive and I'm here to tell my story.
Good enough, man.
You know? Here to tell my story.
I know you got a long story.
Yeah, he has a long story. So he's really primarily from the Bronx. I'm Brooklyn. This is why me and him always collaborate, and we do it well. But I'm going to ask the first question, because we don't do questionnaires. If you notice, we don't have a book, we don't have a monologue. This goes with the flow. We go with the flow.
This is
a conversation. It's not just an interview.
It's a real interview. That's what I appreciate.
We don't try to pull any tricks or anything or have any agenda. The agenda is what you remember and
your story, the way you remember.
Yeah, that's it.
So my first thing is, how did you get introduced to the world of hip hop? How'd you get into it? What happened? How'd you start? Blah blah blah. What age? What year?
The world of hip hop. Well, I was a b-boy first and foremost. I got introduced to it through the members of RCA. Also TBB, because I used to hang out with all these crews. You know, we all hung out with each other. We all battled each other. Star Child Rock was involved. TBK was involved. I was RCA. You know, I was RCA for whatever amount of months, because this is 77. And I could say it was about 4 months, 3 months I was RCA. Freak Master, I don't know, that's what they call it. But we broke up in August. We broke up, I was there. It was the original members that broke up, and we burned our shirts in Belmont Park. It was me. It was Ramon. It was Cheeto and Macho, the two brothers. You had Rubber Band that was present. You had Little Hector. You had Jorge. You had Papote. Carlos. White Boy Shreddy. And who else came with us? You were White Boy Willie Will, Puerto Rican Willie Will. Oh, that guy was a great dancer. He was a great dancer. Puerto Rican Willie Will.
What kind of dancer?
Break dancer. Great dancer. He was a swimmer, but the guy had an upper body. You know, he had strength. You know, I used to look up to him as a dancer. You know, because he had some good power moves at that time. That's what we used to call it, power move. And I just used to look up to him. I thought he was better than
I'm sorry to interrupt. You mentioned a lot of crews of that era. But I remember you speaking about the Lords, and this is a crew that not too many people talk about.
All right. The Lords was a crew that I used to hang out with. There was a few of us from Rockwell. They were situated on 181st and Potomac Avenue. There was a little park there. And the little park there also, you could see 32, public school 32. I don't know if you remember that school. It's up the block, and you keep walking up the block, then you reach Aquinas High School.
Yeah.
Across the street was Belmont Park.
Okay, yeah.
So you remember?
It was like a triangle park.
Right,
yeah.
Little triangle park that had benches.
I think it was like next to St. Martin's, wasn't it?
No, it was around the corner from St. Martin's. St. Martin's
and then you had
community hall.
Aquinas, then you had like a dump at that time. Which is now, I think, baseball field or something. Back then, it was like
that was in the back of
Aquinas.
yeah. Behind Aquinas also. That's where a lot of us, Rockwell, we all hang out. Chamberlains had their little clubhouse back in the day, their first clubhouse. It was an interesting era, you know, a lot of block parties, a lot of DJs. The Lords had some good rockers. Two of them were, I'm gonna get their name right, Rocky and Louie. Very good dancers. You know,
But you were down with the Lords? You down?
I used to hang out
Just
with
hang
them. I didn't never have no Lord shirt. I used to hang out with them. Same with Little Albert. Little Albert, that was Rockwell. We used to hang out with them. Tito and Macho, their cousin was Warlock. He was the leader of the Lords. So a lot of us used to just hang out. We all used to hang out together. That's the way it was back then.
How old do you think you guys were?
Oh, I know. I was 15, 16. Yeah, at that age.
So when you were saying, because we interrupted you, you said you guys actually went to the park as a unit and burned your colors?
Yes.
You put them in a flame and burned
Like
them?
I said, it was, we put it inside a metal garbage can and we burned our colors.
Why did you do that? Why?
There was a problem with Manny the Prez, and I don't know what went down. You know, I'm a young guy, and he had me by about 4 years, 5 years, and I'm not gonna question him. He was my Prez, but I followed Macho, Tito, I followed Ramon. You know, it was a majority of the others, so I went with the majority. What? Ripping our shirts and ripping them. We ripped them, and then we went and we burned them.
Wow.
That's what Rockwell was for.
And
Rockwell
the reason
Association.
I asked that question was because I heard many different rumors behind that. So I just wanted to get your perspective of this. I wasn't there, so I just wanted to get your perspective
But
on it.
when you say rumors, like what did you?
Well, so it wasn't over a battle or nothing like that. Or was it over a battle? Or was it just animosity among
There was. It could have been some animosity involved. You know, as teenagers, you know, when you become adults, you could talk stuff out. But when you're a teenager or young, you know, you're 20 years old. You could be 20. You could be 19.
Knuckleheads.
You know,
We're
that's
knuckleheads.
what, you know, and there was no thinking involved. It was mostly action. When you could say when feelings are being, you know, it's very little talk and it's action. So, and that's what, see, the dancing was good because when we danced, we used to take out a little frustration. Like, who's the better dancer? There wasn't too many fights involved, you know.
More battles.
It was a different era. It's not like now.
So you were with RCA for a short term. Then you went over to.
No, I followed what the majority of RCA, which is Rockwell Association.
Oh, then they went.
I followed. Yeah.
And they had. So wait, was Rockwell Association already there, or they created it when you guys split up?
We created.
Oh, you guys created it together.
We broke our shirts.
Yeah.
We ripped our shirts and we burned them. Belmont Park.
So
Rockwell came.
So Rubber Band was Rockwell. I mean RCA too.
Rubber Band. So he, you know, he could have been. I'm not going to say he's not. You know, he could have. He's from the neighborhood. I don't know why Speedy didn't join up with us in the Rockwell.
wasn't he Hockey Rush? He became Hockey Rush.
He was with Bob. He was with Flex, because Flex was Hot Feet Rock. You know what I'm saying? So, Buck was part of, probably Hot Feet Rock.
No, he was Hot Feet.
Yeah, he was Hot Feet because he told you when we interviewed him, he said he was Hot Feet.
No, I remember it was Hot Feet.
See, I wasn't part of that crew, so I didn't know.
So Rockwell, the first Rockwell was Rubber Band, right? He's the creator of it.
He wasn't the creator.
No, the creator of Rockwell.
They're the original guys.
Tito and Macho. Those are the two main, the Prez and the Vice Prez. Number one, I want to give them because they have DJ equipment. Not only they should throw little jams in the park, Belmont Park, do a jam in St. Martin's a few times, do a jam in Napes. Where by Napes Pool, there was a little park back then. You know, do some jams over there. I don't, now when it came to 118 Park, Charlie Chase, that was Charlie Chase playground. So we didn't step on him. The guy was top dog. And then I know you heard of Charlie Chase.
I always thought he was a Rockwell member. But then I was told that he
what
wasn't
happened?
Rockwell. They used to hang out.
We used to, right. We used to, let me tell you right now, we had a softball team too, Rockwell Association. We used to play against Charlie Chase's softball team. Yeah. So
rivals, enemies, but rival enemies.
yeah, but it was a friendly game. We never had a fight during the softball. You know,
Charlie
that's a different
DJ.
Right, he was very good DJ.
One of the best.
Yeah, he was very
He
good.
was up there with Theodore.
Yeah. His MCs were no joke, Cold Crush 4. But he also had MCs before the Cold Crush 4.
What do you mean the Cold Crush 4?
Yeah. Alright, his first MCs, Cisco Kid used to MC for him. Cisco Kid that used to MC, the tall, skinny, who was a Moreno. He could have been Spanish, but to me, I thought he was Moreno. Yeah, could have been mixed. That's besides the point. I don't, but man, he was very good. He used to do flyers also. That was his side thing. But the thing was, he was always with Tito Macho. Everybody used to borrow Tito and Macho's equipment. That's the thing that a lot of people, and Tito still talks about it this day.
And he was generously left to lend it out.
Yeah, his not his turntables, but he lent out his speakers. His speakers were top dog for that day and age. He had, I think, the speakers could have been from Technique, could have bought some Technique speakers, but the way they made the speakers back then, he had.
They got a lot of hand built. You couldn't buy speakers.
Our 18-inch woofers, we had the JBLs.
Yeah.
Baby, I remember this kid Baby from the South Side. He had all this equipment and he always lent it to me. And it was in my apartment when I lived in the projects. And dude, I had top of the line shit. But it was actually Baby's equipment. And he had all this equipment.
I'm gonna give you another insight. Like back in the day when I remember the battle. It was between Charlie Chase and his Cold Crush 4 crew against African Islam and his MCs. They used Tito's and Macho's speakers for that. I'll never forget it. Was packed. team was packed. Oh, goodness.
It's crazy when it was back then.
Was the spot.
Oh, it's crazy.
Literally was back then.
Now, I took a walk about 2 months ago in the area. 118 is not the same. They got an annex, they put the annex there, and all that empty space that they had back in 81, 82 is not there anymore. Yeah, times have changed.
Williamsburg, I'm from Williamsburg. The new Williamsburg, it's a world. It's like literally a different fucking world than what I grew up.
It was more ghetto back then.
Williamsburg completely ghetto back in the day. Well, they got those in gangs.
Well, they call it Gemini's now?
Well, no, now it's the Soho of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's like it's big money involved now.
Big
money. They literally got rid of, because I know I lived in Williamsburg, South 3rd Street for a little while.
Well, I'm from South Third, South Third and
Yeah.
So, going back up a little bit here.
No, but this happens.
Yeah.
This is how interviews happen. We stray off and we come back.
So now you Rockwell, right? You've been
Right.
Rockwell for a while, right?
Right.
So at what point, right, and confirm this because I'm not 100% sure, you are related to Crazy Legs, correct?
That is my cousin, yes.
And how are you guys cousins, if you don't mind asking?
Well, we got a weird family.
We all do.
My name is Lenny Len. So he's rich. Yep.
So on your mother's side or your
My
father's
mother is Cologne. My father is Nunez.
side? Okay. So you cousins
But
from
I
your mother's
grew
side?
up. I grew up in Cologne, through the family. You know what I'm saying? Grew up because my father left when he was young, and I never really associated. That's a different story.
Right.
But that's.
So it's through your mother's. That's what I'm trying to say. You guys are blood related through your mother's side.
Let me say something. Every Cologne in the
New
world
York
is
related.
related. That's how
What do
it
you think about
starts.
the Torres? Well, that's a whole other ballgame.
Bloodline comes.
My family knows.
But you know, my uncle, my mother's father,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mother's father, he's Angel Colon.
Yeah.
Velas Colon. But it's Velas Colon. So my mother's Velas Colon.
Yeah. Now, my great grandfather at the time, he was interviewed in Puerto Rico. This is 1981, 82 at the time. He was 103 years old.
Oh,
Puerto Rico Island. He was the oldest living man at that time.
Wow.
And it came out of China 47. So
Awesome.
he had like 17 sons and 4 daughters. So you could say, you know, there wasn't no TV back then. He had 5 wives. He outlived
the
most of
TV
his
was the
wives.
young guys walking by.
But you gotta look at back then also the food was different. It was natural. You lived on
Organic.
a farm.
Everything was
Right
organic.
there. You lived on a farm, you ate farm fed, you know, it's
Yeah.
good food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different.
Now we live in a day where
Processed.
this is
It's
processed.
processed.
It's you don't even know if you're eating real chicken
You're not
anymore.
eating. You're not. You don't see it.
So anyway, so you're connected with, so you're related to Crazy Legs.
Right.
Now, I'm trying to make this timeline from that transition from Rockwell Association, right, to
Rockstar.
Rocksteady. So how
Oh, you
did
did
that?
in Rocksteady too?
Yeah. Yes. Rocksteady. All right. I'm gonna break something down. This is how my cousin was able to get Rocksteady. First of all, he tried to become Rockwell Association. They didn't let him in because he was younger. You know, I was like the youngest member in Rockwell at that time. Me and probably Papote's brother. Who else? There was only a few of us that were that young or allowed to be in Rockwell Association. But my cousin tried to become Rockwell. And it's crazy because they said, yo, you gotta fight one of our members. Yeah. You know, so it was a little play fight, you know, and, name rest in peace, his name was Carlos. You know, they fought, you know, and everything. My cousin
Who had
did
the
his
Crazy
thing.
Legs?
Yeah, my
Oh,
cousin
that's
Crazy Legs. You know, and he did his thing, and anyway, you know, he did good. I'm thinking that he was gonna join Rockwell. They still didn't put him in. So, you know, we still hung out because he always stayed over at my house on the weekends. He would come, yeah, the same thing. I would go to his house. Vice versa on the weekends. I would stay over at his house.
That's when you lived in Manhattan?
Yes, of course.
But did you guys actually dance together, or you did not dance
Yeah,
together?
we were part. That was my first part, my cousin.
But this is before Rocksteady.
This is before Rocksteady.
So he was.
Some of the rumors I heard that you taught him how to dance.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That is correct.
That
Okay.
is correct. You can't. He don't deny it. You know, he talks about it. You know, if he tries to deny it now, you know, he's got to come and see me.
Bring him on, start a boogie, bro. We bring him on. Yo,
Trust me,
he want to get your side of the story,
He
baby.
ain't coming on. I
But
know.
you know, whatever.
I know legs.
It's
Legs
all
ain't
good.
coming on.
I know he won't, but
He ain't coming on.
but he the door. We leave the door open.
We can send them. We'll send them a message to Johnson. Johnson get them a message.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, so all right, so you taught him how to break dance.
That is
He didn't
correct.
know how to break dance prior to that.
No. But I want to throw this out there. The very first B-boy that I ever witnessed, breakdancing that I ever witnessed, I didn't know what he was doing. Was his older brother, Beef Robert Pond. You know, what he did, I don't know what he did on the floor, but I found out later he was breakdancing.
So why didn't he join a Rocksteady with the Crazy Legs? With his older brother.
He wasn't. He was in gymnastics. He was going to school. You know, he stopped dancing. He only did it for a little bit. He wasn't a dancer. You know,
Oh, so he
was
had
a-
that gymnastic experience.
Right.
Then if you do floor moves like me, you know, I
He
was
was
breakdancing.
See, we used to live in a family house on Garfield Avenue, right? My mother had the top floor, his mother and his stepfather had the bottom floor. say we stayed there for a few years. This is where I met Bomb Five in that area. I don't know if you guys if you know.
I know Bomb Five. Yeah.
Bomb Five. You know, now he has the TVB. You know, wish him well on that. You know what I'm saying? We recently met up again at the Lincoln Center anniversary. I was there.
I know you invited me. I was out of town. I wouldn't get out.
Yes, TBV and TVG. Typically, Swimo, she's in
TBG.
Gardos, yeah.
They got that. Oh, that's good.
So I know TVB, and I know that he's got, there's one of my students, she's from Czech Republic, and she's now with TVB, but I think it's TVG. Bomb students.
Wow.
Yeah.
Times have changed, man.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Girls are amazing.
There wasn't no rock steady girls or rock. You know, they had rock steady. You know, there were the rock steady group. There were girls, but there weren't break dancers.
But
there was one chick that break danced. Her name was Daisy.
Yeah, Daisy. Yeah.
I mean, she was okay.
Yeah.
She was okay. She came out of Beach Street.
Yeah.
You know, she was okay.
That's the one girl they had.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, she was okay.
So how did you transition from Rockwell to Rocksteady?
My cousin came and got me. One day he comes over. He says, "Well, Lenny, man, you gotta come to Manhattan. We're doing these shows in the studio. They got graffiti writers in the studio, graffitiers, and his name was Henry, and we could make a few dollars and battle against each other. We got 2 crews, so the crews that were involved was the Young City Boys, and also it was Rocksteady, like because we have Rocksteady. But the members that were dancing back there, it was Cousin, Frosty Freeze, Ken Swift, Take One. Well, anyway, rest in peace, Frosty Freeze. I'm quite sure you heard of him.
Good, that's my man. Frosty is a good friend of mine.
Rest in peace, Take One. Little Crazy Legs. His other name is Little Man. Little Man, Little Crazy Legs.
Because I used to.
It was pretty good.
I tell you, I always thought.
So you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So when you became Rocksteady, you were already coming into the second generation. You wasn't down with the first generation, which was JoJo and them.
Joe, really, it was Jimmy D,
Right.
Jimmy Lee.
Right.
Like JoJo was involved also. But this is how, because me and my cousin, we battled Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee inside Patty's house. And the people that were present in that battle was Trace 2, rest in peace. I don't know if Trap was there, but Willie Will from Rockwell was there. Who else was there? There's a few other people. I know
So
Patty
in that battle, you was Rockwell
White Boy
Association.
Freddy could have been president. Huh?
At that battle, you represented Rockwell Association.
I reckon it was me and my cousin. Yeah, you could say I was Rockwell because I wasn't Rocksteady, so I was still Rockwell. But the thing is, it was me and my cousin because we were partners. So we didn't care who we battled at the time. We took on anybody. And that's what, they gave us our props. We had no fear. If we lost, we lost. But guess what? We got experience from battling you guys. That's how he got real good. I guess he kept practicing. And before you know it, he made up that win, the backspin. The spinning backspin. He made that up. Crazy Legs. Yeah, he made that up. So, he wound up taking B-Boy to another level. Now, other people that learned that move, and they made up a continuous. I don't know who made up the continuous. I'm not going to get into that discussion because I didn't do that. I still had a half and backspin thing. What separated me was my footwork. I know that if I couldn't beat your power moves, I know I'd destroy you with my footwork. So I concentrated on that. And that's where I got my fame.
Awesome.
So are you down? Are you down in any of those old videos with Rocksteady when they
All
first
right.
started?
I was in the Freshest Kids. I was in Star Wars. You know, that first.
Dancing with Rocksteady.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. Yeah. Would have been nice if Willie Will would have been. You know, they had that. They could have. I think they could have got involved. See, because JoJo came to Lincoln Center, and so did Jimmy D. They were in the battle when we went against Dynamic Rockers for that Lincoln Center battle. We also had Little Left.
I remember that.
Little Left was nice.
I remember. I went. I was there.
Yeah. We was at the fountain. They had a makeshift stage, which collapsed at the end because they were jumping up and down. Rocksteady, Rocksteady, and it actually collapsed.
Awesome.
Huh? Because you know, these you could say it was all teenagers. I don't recall too many
I know. I always say. I don't believe how we rolled back in the day. Like, I look at kids now, right? We're old.
Yeah.
We're fathers, grandfathers, and I'm like, damn, these kids today. You know, look at them trying to be grown ass men. But I'm like, but wait a second. I met him when he was 15, and we were already going to because I got him by 2 years, right then. And at 16, 17, we were clubbing, going out to fucking places where today you don't want your child to go anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Let me say something. Now you need. The thing is, and I still think it may go on, is the females getting in young. You know, because they could just roll in with somebody who is known. They may not check their ID. I'm quite sure that goes on, but that went on back then. But the guys got in. You know,
the IDs got in. There were no picture IDs. The library card was your ID.
But you was a lot of times I got into clubs just dancing outside because they bring me in to entertain.
Yeah.
But at that time it was the yuppie crowd, right? So I was entertaining the yuppie crowd basically. And so they'll let me in, and they'll throw me in VIP, expose me to many things I should have never been exposed to. But we were just living the life, and we were having a good time.
Were you able to perform at clubs too?
I'm going to tell you the clubs that I performed in. The first one, because we performed in a lot of them. The Kitchen, Keith Haring and Squat. You know, his partner, they used to hang out together. They used to be in the audience, sit in front row, with performing. You know, Rocksteady, with performing. It was awesome. The Kitchen, I'm silly. It's the Kitchen. Dan Satirian, we did shows like twice a week. Dan Bottom was mostly our DJ. But we also had Theodore. You know, he would throw a couple of jams in there. You know, I don't recall Charlie Chase doing it, but I know in the Grill nightclub. Anybody heard of the Grill nightclub?
The Grill.
All right, the Grill, and you know the Grill nightclub. It's on West 4th Street. It should still be there.
Yeah, the New Grill.
It was a small club, but it was weird. It was weird back then. The early '80s was weird.
Remember,
it was weird. It was a co-ed bathroom.
It's weird you say that because if you remember back in the 80s, 8th Street, you couldn't walk down 8th Street, dude. It took you half an hour to get half a block. That's how fucking packed 8th Street, West 4th used to be. West 4th, yeah, but it was really 8th Street. West 4th was the station where you got off on the F train, but 8th Street was the fucking street that was. Everybody was on that street, bro, to hang out. You know, you went up the park, up 6th Avenue, you made a right on 8th, and then the whole thing all the way down Avenue 8. You know, it was packed. Packed.
We also used to go with our manager, his name was Henry Chapon. We used to do a little dancing, and Mr. Freeze, his name is Mark. He was good in the mind. Very good mind.
And that's another cat I like to talk to because I always said electric boogie comes from mining and other stuff. Right. You know, we got all kinds of.
Mr. Freeze was mining. He was always mining.
Yeah, we wasn't doing what the West Coast was doing. We were doing our own thing, and then we took some of that stuff and combined it to what we did. So Mr. Freeze was one of those cats that would do that.
Mr. Freeze was awesome. He was a great dancer.
Yeah,
he
I went to Kennedy
knew
High
how
School.
to b-boy. He had good footwork. He had like a little half and back thing like me.
No, but he was one of the only.
He was nice.
He was one of the only white boys back.
One of the
back
few.
then.
Yeah, one
He
of the
was one of
few.
the only. There was a few white boys that were down.
Me,
was
the
one of-
first white boy that I ever seen breakdance was Freddie from Rockwell. And he was nice. Freddie
I don't know.
was nice.
I don't know. Fred.
My boyfriend, yeah, he was
His name was White Boy Freddie. He was nice. I remember I battled him in the Ramones building in the hallway. And he took me out. Yeah, he put it 3-1. Yeah.
So I like to mention what we were talking about back in the day, right? We really didn't look at colors. Like we didn't care what color you were. We were just getting down and having a good time. We didn't look at, oh, that guy's white, that guy's black, this guy's Chinese, this guy.
No.
You know, we were always mixed culture, and that's the way we did it. So for anybody to say that this was just one culture
Yes.
is ridiculous because it was mixed.
But-
we had people from all kinds
But
of lifestyles.
in fairness, and let's keep it real, right? Because that's what the show's about. In fairness, you can say that, but 98% of the Boricuas and fucking blacks.
They were.
98% of us were Boricuas and blacks, bro.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you only had 2%. Number one, I don't remember seeing any Chinese people. That's
Not
number
back
one.
then.
I
Not back
remember a couple whites that snuck in, you know what I'm saying? And then a couple, really, I'm trying to even think, bro. Nobody else. There was blacks, Hispanics, and fucking a few white boys.
Few white
So
boys.
wasn't that?
And
The
these
culture
were
was,
these
you
are the
know,
white
So I'm
boys that grew
gonna
up.
throw Asian at you, right? So one of my boys, right, Frost, although he's Boricua, he's also Samoan, which is an Asian line also. So
Right, but he
again,
represented himself as a Boricua.
but it doesn't matter, you know, I'm half Costa Rican. A lot of people don't know that, you know, but I am. We all mix, bro, is what it comes down to. And as kids, we didn't look at that. We didn't care. We didn't care if you were Dominican or Cuban or Puerto Rican or white or black. We really didn't care. It wasn't something that
We really didn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We didn't ask each other what nationality we were. All I know is we hung out. You know, especially if you knew your buddy, your boy.
Right, there was a
Especially if you came up 12 or 13 years old and used to play Ringoligio together, and you know, and then when the dancing came involved, you did not. You used to go to each other's house. Your mother would cook food. You broke night at that time. It was no problem. You know, it wasn't gang fights, whatever, or crew fights back then. You all hung out with each other. You kind of respected each other.
Well, I always say to them, and I tell people, I didn't see racism or separatism in our own race or our own until I went to high school. Dude. When I went to high school, then I saw the Morenos hanging with the Morenos, the Boricuas with the Boricuas, the poor, the Ecuadorians or El Salvadorians. They were like in a whole other world. You know, they were separate, and I didn't see that until I literally went to high school. Because before that, we were all mixed. You know, we were all just doing our things. You know, but once I went to high school, I started seeing
High
this.
school-
High school separated.
Yes, high school for me was a little strange because I went to Dewitt Clinton High School. This is all boys, and I was on the track team.
So was that?
All right. Now, one of my, you know, I remember the meet. It was Dewitt Clinton against, I believe, Stuyvesant. It was the high school that Rubber Band went to. You know, and of course, Dewitt Clinton won the meet. You know, because we had a lot of good runners. I was pretty
It was a
decent.
sports high school, basically.
Huh?
That was
Yeah, it was a
focused on
sports.
sports.
Right. And that's when it was all boy before it became co-ed. And they were very good in sports. But it was strange back then because I come in an all boys high school and it was crazy. It was literally crazy. I used to take that number 1 bus and the number 2 bus. We used to stop at the corner where Dewitt Clinton was at. And we'd get on the bus for free. But no people like outsiders. I'm talking about regular people that wanted to get on the bus. I'm talking about ladies, men. they couldn't get over the
Yeah,
bumps.
this kid's rabid.
Yeah,
Yo, we were devious back then.
No.
You know, and I was like,
I don't know
yo,
if you remember.
this is too wild for me. I said, I can't be here. They were screaming and going crazy. I said, yo, this high school is way too wild.
Lenny,
I transferred to theater.
I don't know if you remember. I used to go to junior high school in 143. I was on the other side of the reservoir from Clinton. We got into battle. We got into fights
With Clinton High School?
with Clinton High School all the time. Bro. They used to, because Clinton would try to come over to IS 143. We were junior high school and rob us. We wasn't having it. We wasn't having it, so we used to fight with them all the time.
Yeah.
And we made the newspaper a few times where teacher got hit with a baseball bat one time.
Oh,
over the head.
man, that's
And I was actually in a truant class with the New York City Breakers. That's when I met New York City Breakers. Because I was locked up with them in school.
which were the ones? Which ones did you meet?
Chino, I believe Chino was in my class. Glide was in my class. And I want to say Exeter, but I don't remember.
Isn't that true? Little Love was a New York City boy.
He was
Not an incredible. He was a New York City boy.
he was first. You know, he was from the area. From that area, he was like from Kingsbridge area. You know. Also, he used to hang out in Shirley Parkway because he knew Mr. Freeze, you know, Mark. And he was so awesome. I heard about this guy, Lenny Len. I was like, who is this?
Yeah, he was amazing.
And they was telling me, yo, he's short and he's strong. He could do like a handstand on a monkey bar.
Yeah, the pole.
He would.
But then again, he was short too.
He was short. He was built. He was built.
Well, the first time I met him was when we did Portfolio.
Yes.
We did a documentary called Portfolio, and it was Fable and Wiggles and Little Left, and that's when they were the Fable and Wiggles were the magnificent force. They weren't even anything else yet.
They weren't down right steady.
No, and I thought that Little Left was down with them. I gotta ask Fable that because I'm confused. I don't know if Left was down with New York City Breakers back then. But I thought he was down with Fable and Wiggles.
Alright, Little Leg was in the Lincoln Center battle. You know, he did a lot of shows with us. You know, Rocksteady crew. You know what I'm saying? And he helped us win that battle too against Dynamic Rockers, but we burned him. You know, we destroyed him. The first battle that we had in USA roller skating, like Rocksteady crew, you know, we went to their territory. We did our thing, man, and it's also in Star Wars. You know, we're all speaking, we, those.
I battled Dynamic Rock with their boogie guys with Rough on Limited because they took me out into Queens, Skate Time USA, and they had a jam going on there. You had Spider and all those guys over there.
Yeah,
and they already knew who I was because I used to hang out at the Roxy.
Yeah.
And you know, I went up against their boys, I burnt them. But you know what? They were classy dudes, man. They
didn't
try to jump you.
Right. No, they took the laws as a friendly law.
They took the laws.
Those guys were not dicks. They were not dicks.
We had a little problem, you know, with Dynamic. You know, it wasn't too big of a problem, but you know, they were our main rivals. You know, and it brought out the best. You know, it's Rocksteady. We brought out the best. We had 3 memorable battles. First one was USA, second one was Lincoln Center, the third was in Spinney's roller skating.
Yeah, I used to hang out at Spinney's all the time.
Yeah. Take the 12 bus, right? Mm-hmm. Get off at the 1 train, and it was like right behind Half.
So when I first went to Spinney's, I used to roller skate, and it had a crew called Hell on Wheels.
When?
In Spinney's, yeah. So we used to go there and agitate security and have them chase us.
You serious?
Because we were like little roller skating gangsters. So we went there and we were like speed skating and jumping over the fence and you know. And so they look forward to finding us, you know.
Okay, I want to give you insight on that, about Spinney's. Crazy Leg's brother is the main DJ.
Oh, really? I didn't
David
know
Malone.
Well, I didn't know he was. I didn't think about the DJ at the time, you know.
Yeah, David Cologne was the DJ.
And I always mention that, you know, electric boogie comes from roller skating in a sense because when we went to the jams, like I wasn't a breakdancer. We would take off our roller skates and we would imitate roller skating, which ended up being glides, slides.
Yeah.
And we would do that, and people were like, "Whoa!" And then we got that attention, and then just kind of.
Especially right, because if you had your socks on, and remember back in the roller rinks, most of them had carpets before you went to the dance floor, so you don't bust your ass as you're walking.
Right.
Concession stand.
Right.
So, but if you had your socks on, that's where you dancing and gliding with your socks on. You know what I'm saying?
You can learn some
moves.
moonwalk.
Yeah,
you can learn the
moonwalk
moonwalk, and there was certain moves that you could, you know, go backwards and.
Yep.
That wasn't my type of dancing, but you know, I know where you're coming from.
So we got that, the roller skating was mixed up with shoes and my nails, with the jams, you know, and then obviously Michael Jackson, the robot, and we just put all these things together, man. And then Soul Train kicked in, and you had the rerun, the TV shows, and we watched the TV shows, and we put all this stuff together, and all we did was introduce the stuff into the jams. And when we got the attention, and especially the attention from the girls, that was the motivator. That right there. That was the motivator.
Oh, listen,
that was a D show back
in the roller skating rink. If you had your roller skates on, you know, you wait for a slow song to start.
Right, so you can get.
But if she was the better roller skater, you take the lead. I'm going to follow you. I'm going real slow.
So Zuma, she just passed away. She was TBB. Zuma
was a good roller skater.
Well, she didn't know how to roller skate, but at the time we were like kids. She was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
She used to live in Twin Projects.
Twin Parks.
Right, and she was like Afro-Brazilian or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so she used to hang out with her on wheels, and we used to take her roller skating.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing.
She was a good roller skater?
No.
She sucked.
She sucked, but she was cute, so we.
But now, real quick, see how we always.
Yeah.
We venture somewhere else. Let's get back to you. This is to you.
Absolutely.
So now you left Rocksteady. You became Rockwell. Oh, you became Rockwell.
No, I became Rock. I was
Rockwell. Then you went to Rocksteady.
To Rockwell. To Rocksteady.
And then Rocksteady, what'd you do after that? That was it?
That was it. No, I bounced around with some graffiti crews. I bounced around, hanging out with the Lords. You know what I'm saying? Then I moved to Manhattan. I just stood in Manhattan for a bit, you know.
But why didn't you stay with Lenny's? Like
he was strict, but see, I'm gonna say that. Did a little time as an adolescent, you know, went away for a year. When I came out, he was touring with Zulu Nation, you know what I'm saying, African, there are a lot of African Islam, and that's where, well, Guliaki, you know, they were in the crew. Lady Blue had them, you know, it was Ken Swift, so the crew had whittled down. It became just a few of them that were left that were doing the shows, doing the touring. You know, it wasn't like when we first started out where it was a bunch of us. You know, and that's what I liked back then. You know, it was a bunch of us. Then it went down to just a certain few, like 5, 6.
That's because money got involved.
Of course.
And then money got involved.
That's it changed.
Nobody wanted to share the wealth, bro.
And it's not right. You know, if you learn to, you know, listen, you know, we're collective, we all dance together. That's how we got to do it. If we're good, that's it. You know,
that broke up a lot of crews, man. So I remember, and it wasn't
not only crews,
but it wasn't always purposely done. It wasn't always purposely done. And I'll give you an example why. Because I remember when I had TMF, they invited us because I came out on the cover of a book called Learn to Break Dance, whatever the fuck it was. And because of that book, I got a tour.
Yeah.
But the people that had the book, they said, listen, we want to take you here, but you can only bring 2 of your members.
What?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they didn't have the money.
That's rough. Oh
They-
yeah, I'm not.
You know,
You gotta
and they weren't
respect.
going to pay 10 kids, 8 kids. They said, I think it was me. I want to say 2, maybe 3, but I think 2. Because I think it was me. I think it was, I took Wendy, Electric Wendy, my partner, AD, and I think maybe even my brother. I don't remember, or somebody else, but I know Majesty, I couldn't take him. At the time, Francisco, he was a breakdancer.
Unfortunately, that was, as you said, money.
Yeah,
money.
big money broke up a lot of
And
crews, man.
Crews.
Then by the time you got back from a tour, that crew was like, well, fuck you, I got my own crew now.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to do my own thing. That's
Oh.
What's up, guys? My name is Lorenzo Dam, also known as Store. I am the founder and the president of a society called the Hidden Faces. At one point, we were a social club. Then we became a motorcycle club, MC, and now my retiring years, we are just a society. What does that mean? That means that anyone that wants to be a member of a motorcycle enthusiast group, as well as muscle cars, rag cars, or just a group of people that want to be involved with the lifestyle of working on bikes, hanging out with people that have history in this community or this lifestyle, is welcomed. So we are hoping that we can get more members around the world to join us. We have other places now that are opening up with the Hidden Faces Society, and we're hoping to get more. So if anybody wants to get in contact with us, please do so. You can go on Instagram, hidden_faces_society, on Facebook, Hidden Faces Society. Look at what we do, look at the pictures, and hopefully just DM us if you have any interest in joining us. We are accepting members now, and we hope that people come on board. It's really, 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 really a good time. All right, guys, thank you. You guys take care of yourselves, and see you sooner than later.
What's up? We're back, and as you see, we got a little loaded. We had to go get some gasoline.
We have to reload.
We had to get some gasoline.
Salute.
So, gentlemen, listen. This is the inevitable in a sense, and I'm gonna say it. During the break, we mentioned it briefly, but we didn't talk about it. So, being that he's Crazy Legs, literally close cousin. He knows about the issue that we mentioned. You know, everybody knows about the situation that occurred with him. I have mixed feelings because I know the way things can get distorted. I know the way things can get pushed over when someone as Crazy Legs has fame, has money, and what the things that come out of the woodworks for money. So this is why there's a lot of things that I don't know, and I don't want to, because I don't know him like that, and I don't know what happened. However, you are his cousin, and if you decide to answer or speak about it, it's how do you feel? Do you know anything? And how do you feel about it? And if you don't, bro, just cut us short, because we don't want you to get into a war with your cousin over this.
Yes, Lenny Len, Crazy Legs' cousin, RCA, Rockwell, Rocksteady. Those are my 3 crews. Well, one thing I want to say is that I read something a little disturbing on the internet. I don't know how true it is or anything, and I'm shocked, but I do know there's 3 sides to a story.
Mm-hmm.
There's his side, there's the other person's side, then there's the truth. But if this did happen, why did they wait so long for it to come to light? And what, because the man has a little money or whatever? I don't know. So I don't wish him no bad. And I hope this gets taken care of, you know.
And neither does Scholar Boogie. So, but what I would say is that if people knew that he had an issue in the past and never brought it up until it got brought into the light, and then all of a sudden, all those who say they were rock steady and best friends are not their friends and backstab that dude. I got mixed feelings about that myself. But that's me, like I personally, I'm with you on that one. His first, and then there's the truth. What the
See,
truth
my thing
is,
is,
we don't know.
I don't want to shame the victims because there's a reason why people say, why didn't they come out early? Oh, listen, everybody has a reason why they do or not come out. Victims are victims.
Right.
However, my thing is, if you are down with him and you support him, get the fucking facts before you discard him.
And
You know what I'm
still,
saying?
don't
You have
discard
to,
a
brother.
Don't discard a man.
Right.
Listen,
You don't know.
man. I'm
You don't
here
know.
for you. You gotta get some help or whatever. You stick by a man too. Just because a man is down, don't leave him because if the shoe was on the other foot,
Listen,
you would need help too.
I'm going to tell you
or
one thing.
Want that help.
We live in different times. And I'll say this fucking on air. I've had relationships. I've had, girls and whatnot. You send pictures of yourself to people sometimes, right? I don't know. God forbid, somebody might have been younger and maybe you don't know it, or someone is even older, but now they want to say that you sent them that without their consent while they wanted it.
Right,
So
right.
these are the things, because, dude, if that were the case, I've never raped anybody. I've never done anything unwillingly with anybody my whole life. But damn, I would have been locked up if I sent a fucking dick pic to a girl. I would have been locked up 30 years, 20 years ago when phones came out. We've all done it. It's stupid, but we've done it. But it'd be fucked up if people went against me because I did that. Especially if it was being in consent with other people.
Right.
Like the minute you get a little money, a little fame, bro, the shit that comes out to ruin it, ruin you is fucking, it's amazing.
I would like to let you know about in the dancing world, a lot of us guys, we were playboys too. We were playboys. Let me say something.
One of my first women was hanging out.
If you were a great dancer, women were attracted to you.
But how did you become a greater dancer? Because you want them to impress the chicks.
Right,
Besides battling somebody.
Right. And that's how you got the chicks. Chicks love you. Sometimes you didn't know which one that you wanted. Like, oh man, she looking at me.
But then you gave your number to 5 girls.
For me, when you reach a certain
And they gave your number to that guy.
and this is for me. You reach a certain age, and it's time to settle down. Especially that little woman, but you got to settle down.
Anyway,
You have to. No, that's just for me. You settle down.
But if you don't have a good woman, then you're fucked.
So
you gotta search for that other good woman.
So to go back a little bit is, at the end of the story, we don't know the whole truth.
We don't know.
We're not judging.
I'm not judging them because I know
I
know for a fact the shit that can come out.
So if this was something recent, take him down where he needs to get taken down. But if it wasn't recent, it was things that happened 10, 15 years ago, God knows what happened then. So I don't know.
But not
we don't need to know like that.
But not even recent. It's just, it depends what it was.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
what it was.
but moving forward, right?
God bless him, brother. Good luck.
Good luck, man. Definitely. Moving
And
forward.
thank you for answering the question.
So my other question will be, is you grew up in Pretoria Park.
Control down.
Pretoria.
Well.
I'm sorry.
Where I actually grew up, I'm gonna tell you the areas where I lived, right, and had a lot of history. I lived 2 blocks from Bronx Road to Rock Jones. 3 blocks. I lived on Elder Avenue.
Oh, Elder, okay, yeah.
Elder Avenue, right around the corner. Right around the corner. No, you have Elder go straight into Cross Bronx. It'll go that area because you can hit the Cross Bronx Expressway, and after that, it's still Elder. When they got them projects with the terrace, they still probably be there.
I know that.
I don't know, White Castle's still over there. But anyway, I lived around the corner from Monroe High School. And Built another dude, 1314 Elder Avenue.
He don't know. He's from Brooklyn. You don't know what Monroe High School is.
Well, you heard of Monroe High School, right?
You gotta remember, dude, I've been around
Yeah.
the motherfuckers long enough to know the Bronx.
You had some famous Met player come from there. Ed Kramer. He came from Monroe High School. I don't know. Anybody here? Met player? I like the Met.
Yankees, baby. Yankees.
Yeah, my VP is
I'm also
is
I was
a Met
a
fan.
Yankees.
My grandfather was a Met fan.
No, Bronx Bum.
But from there, moved to Thiriet Avenue. From Thiriet, moved to Garfield.
But
That's where
That's my dog.
Grace Garfield, no, not 2 blocks from Morris Park.
now, is this during your dancing days? Is this during your dancing hours?
I wasn't dancing. No,
No,
I'm just telling you, it was, you had Bronx Shooter Projects. Back then it was the Black Spades. Later on, a lot of them became Zulu Nation. You understand? So there was a lot of history, back then. Garfield Avenue, it produced Crazy Legs, produced me, his older brother, Beefy, Robert Cologne, also DJ David Cologne, that he battled Jelly Bean Benitez and beat him in a contest. And beat him with the song Planet Rock.
Really? Wow.
Yes,
The Jelly Bean was
Jelly Bean was no joke.
Yeah.
He was DJing at the time, Funhouse. He was no. But the thing is my cousin beat him because he was given one of the first copies of Planet Rock. It was like the second copy.
He tore
This was before even the radio station probably got over.
We got it from the record players.
Yeah.
You were DJ.
Right. And that's, I don't even think that exists anymore, does it?
No.
Oh, that's
Record pool
different.
don't exist.
Now it's different.
everything's
Now they have
online
vinyl
now.
parties. It's different, yeah. Because you can get your music online. You don't have to go to a record store. Remember back in the day, bro, you had to physically be somewhere to get it.
Listen, I've been in, and I want to tell you, I met lots of DJs. You'd be surprised. So who I knew personally was DJ Renee Hewitt. They used to DJ in what was the name? What was the Mike Stone? And Mike Stone had
Bonds International.
Bonds International. He also DJ at the Cuckoo's Nest. Over there. He taught Frankie Crocker. I met him. Anybody?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, of course.
Frankie
Frankie
Crocker
Crocker was a superstar back then.
Yeah. I've met Larry Levan a couple of times. Jelly Bean Benitez. Met a few known DJs. And these were DJs that people get famous. I don't know if they still. I know Jelly Bean Benitez is still DJing.
Oh no, he does.
That's his life.
Yeah.
I watch him on. He does live shows. I think Thursday nights, and I watch him on a TV program. And it's an app. I didn't mention that. I wanted to ask you something. How do you feel that breakdance, boogie, b-boying?
I was a breakdancer.
But how do you feel about the gang influence on the dance culture?
Now you feel
Now, back then.
Back then,
How do you feel that the gangs influenced us? Because remember, when we wore our colors, dude, we bit that off of guys that wore colors.
This is the thing. Back then, we all wore shirts with press-on letters.
Right.
There were old English letters.
But they were imitating colors.
Like
they were imitating
I don't know.
colors.
I don't see. We never wore vests.
No, not
We didn't wear, but I'm just
I talk
saying,
about that now.
We had shirts, like this shirt, this shirt right here.
Yep, that.
It was this shirt, like basically this was before the sweatshirts.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't too many sweatshirts. That it was the summertime when we had a shirt.
Yeah, we wore these and then sweatshirts in the
Yeah,
winter.
they
But I'm
also-
talking about the way we put it in the back. It said, Dynasty Rockers. It said, TMF. It said, whatever it did, we emulated the same thing that gangsters had on the back of our shirts with the iron-on.
Yeah, it was iron-on, right.
So there's an influence.
Yeah.
How do you think rock started? The rock dance started with gang members in New York City. It was gang members that started rock dance. And I'm talking about up rocking and rock.
Yeah.
That was gang influenced.
See, I don't know, and I won't get into it, but I do know the first rockers that I seen going off these were two members from the Lords. And they were nasty. It was Rocky and Lou.
Now, the Lords of the dance group, or they
The Lords, they were in a gang. I'm going to tell you, there were a group of people that hung out from the neighborhood. They had like old school DJ equipment. They were from the neighborhood.
But they wore shirts that said.
They wore shirts that said Lords Incorporated. That was the name. Lords Incorporated. Was I part of Lords? They would probably say, yeah, I was down with them.
Because you were
but I never had a shirt. I never had my shirt that said Lords. But I was a hangout. I was young too. They were much older than me.
So what I was trying to go back earlier was when you mentioned the neighborhoods you lived in. You said you was at Garfield. From Garfield,
went to Crotona Avenue.
So you lived on Crotona Avenue.
Crotona, between 187 and 183rd. But I was exactly in the middle.
On
But you already had started dancing.
In the middle, no. I had started when I moved to Crotona Avenue.
You tell you, Crotona is the heartbeat of hip hop. I don't care what anybody says. One of the
I started by watching. I watched a few of the Lens from Twin Parks. They were breakdancing. Also, it was members from RCA that were breakdancing. It was from home. It was his brother, young brother Jorge, George. I thought he was nasty too.
So who's the first motherfucker that you saw doing something called breakdancing?
It was Crazy Legs' oldest brother.
Was it really?
That was at Garfield Avenue. But it wasn't.
Dude, I never even heard of
He
it.
wasn't that good. He
That's
wasn't
right, but
that
still,
good.
but he was fucking breakdancing.
He was breakdancing, and my cousin, he mentioned that in an interview.
But what did he go? Do you remember that he had no name for it, right?
But he didn't
I
even
don't think
say
he called it
that he was breakdancing. He just went on the floor, did a quick move, and it was whack. It was whack.
No, I'm just saying. What I remember.
I can't sugarcoat it.
I know.
Yo,
But still, that was your first visual
That
moment.
was my first
so,
one.
and then, what I remember, right? And let's take it back, way back, right? We had whatever Chucky dolls.
The Earth shoes. Remember the Earth shoes?
Yeah.
So we really didn't have formal names for any of these dances. So we were just doing moves that made us move to the music.
Right.
So for you to say that Beefy was just new to me, right? I didn't know.
That was his name.
I didn't even know
that was
that.
his nickname.
I didn't even know that Crazy Legs. I didn't even know Crazy Legs' older brother. And it turned out to be a DJ in Spinneys, but I used to go there all the time. So if you ask his brother about Hell's on Wheels,
Spinneys, I just want to say this one thing. Spinneys, he was David Clone, that was the DJ on weekends.
oh, that's his other brother.
That's the one under Robert Clone. It's
Okay.
Robert, David, Paul, Crazy Legs, Jenny, and then Eve. Vincent
The two brothers, the older brothers were DJ.
David was the first DJ. Then Paul and Robert had learned to DJ. Then Crazy
So
Legs.
again, what my point was that we didn't really. This is before hip hop, and remember that we come from a generation before hip hop, and who brought it to me this way? Brian from the Incredible Breakers. He said that's how he mentioned it to me, and I'm like, wow, you're right about that. This is before hip hop. So we didn't really have names for most of these dances that we did, and even the DJs or the MC. I remember calling MC rhyming.
Yeah, that's right.
Rhyming.
Rhyming.
It wasn't even rap. It was rhyming.
Yeah, you were rhyming.
And then when it was 3 or 4 of them, we called it harmonizing. So, but we had like different names on it, and then it finally got commercialized and we got formal names, right? But prior to that is what I'm trying to say. Prior to all that, so this cat Beefy was doing something that he learned from somebody else. That
He learned from
somebody else.
and
And we can go back to the
Yeah.
1920s.
And he learned from probably somebody on the block because the block that we lived on, there were Italians, a few Italians. This is Garfield Avenue. But up the block were more animals, and one of them was Africa Islam. They lived on the block. He was a DJ for Zulu Nation also. You know, he was very good DJ.
So now, bringing it back to the timeline,
Right.
you're on Katona Avenue. When did you meet Bucky and Kuriaki? Because those are the black guys.
This
Hang around.
Kuriaki I met probably a year after. When the first one I met was, I'm going to tell you, it's all three of them. Speedy, Bucky, Flex, also Chico that lived around the corner, Black Chico, Low 4,
Yeah, I remember Low 4.
Low 4,
Yeah, homie.
Fast.
That was my other homie, Fast, man. And he
Fast,
got his
rest in
name
peace.
Fast. He got his name Fast, not from dancing, but he used to go to class, karate. He used to go to kung fu
Right.
at the Boys Club, and he was fast with his hands.
Yeah.
And that's what they called him Fast. He had like this fast ass jailhouse rock kind of style.
And also, he was pretty nice and electric boogie too.
Oh yeah, you know.
He had some
I
skills.
used to hang with him all the time, bro. It was my
Yeah.
It was me, him, Blaze, Doc Pop. That was the crew back in that time.
Man.
And we wasn't even crew. We were just like hanging out, having fun.
Another one, they call him Mace. But then also
Mace?
Yeah, Mace.
Mace.
He lived in Fashville. Mace. Who else? I used to hang out with Reed. That was another Rocksteady, Rockwell Association crew member. I forgot to mention his name. Reed. He was my graffiti partner. He was my graffiti partner because there wasn't too many of us that wrote graffiti in Rockwell. That was too
What did you write?
Lake 2.
Lake 2?
Lake
L-A-K-E?
Next time when I do come over, if you want,
I
got some.
Email or get us a picture so we can put them up on the
Do you
screen.
remember Starsky and Hutch?
Of course. So, I'm going to tell you, I do know Huggy Bear's family. Antonio Vargas.
Oh yeah.
I knew his younger brother.
No,
He's from Chelsea Project.
hold on. Starsky and Hutch. We used to call them Starsky and Hutch, but they were actually undercover cops in that neighborhood who targeted graffiti writers. I got busted by them.
You serious?
They gave me a whip ass, bro. They busted. They hit me with the little nightstick, and they gonna lock me up.
You serious?
They gonna lock me up, and they go, "We're gonna lock you up, or you wanna go home?" I'm like, "Lock me up."
You serious?
They took me to my mother, and they laughed. They stood there in the hallway when my mother grabbed me and slapped the shit. She beat that. She gave me a good ass whip.
14, you was about 14, 13, right?
Around there, bro. I was young. But they used to call them Starsky and Hutch. They were graffiti writer cops.
They were looking for fucking writers?
Yeah, they were. But they wasn't Starsky and Hutch. We used to call them that.
I'm gonna tell you with cheap graffiti because I like art. I've been around a lot of artists. See, my cousin liked art also. We were in that atmosphere, as you could say. And that's why they say it's one of the hip hop elements.
Oh no, it is. It's one of the fun.
Came out around that time, and a lot of guys that were, you could say, outlaws. They used to tag up and shit like that.
We all did. I tagged
But
up.
a lot of TBB, that's the other thing that I looked up to TBB. Batch had a nice tagging style. I had him tag in my building. I used to look up to him. I never see him do a graffiti piece. but I like these tags.
Well, there was guys that did tags and throw-ups. And then there were guys that did.
I used to hit the buses. Right? TMT. Used to be for the neighborhood, Chain 3, T, K, and I had got myself into TMT. I used to always tag up TMT. Lake 2, TMT
What was TMT?
The Magnificent Team.
It
It was first called the Magnificent 2. Then they renewed it, the Magnificent 2, and then it was two brothers, T and K. Then, dudes from the neighborhood, dudes that they found out that they were good artists and they used to meet up in the yard. And then a bunch of dudes got in. Buzz, Crane 3, Chain 3, there's a bunch of them, L.
Oh, you're talking about Gandhi and Futura.
Yeah,
Futura,
that's for the people that I met when I went to Henry Chalfon's studio. I got involved in knowing these other crews called TBF, Death Squad. I don't know if you heard of them. CIA, Crazy Inside Artists, or Criminals in Action.
Criminals in Action, not for it.
But it was also Crazy Inside.
Well, you were friends with Futura or Gandhi?
I knew both of them. I was more friendly with Futura because his name was Lenny.
And Scene, remember Scene?
White Boy Scene, you had White Boy Scene.
And Scene
And
became
you also had a black
tattoo
scene.
artist.
You had a black scene.
No, but the White Boy Scene opened up a tattoo.
No, the White Boy Scene, he doesn't tattoo anymore. I think he still owns a tattoo.
Yeah, he owns it, but he's not
But
tattooed.
he's doing, because I'm hearing his handshakes and
That's
his
it.
Richie.
I retired, but I'm still doing it once in a while. I can't wait to do his whole back. But check this out.
I want my left hand.
So check this out. We're gonna end this with this one more question that I have. Unless kid has one. I just want to know. I don't know how involved you are in it today. But if you are, how do you feel where it's at today? How do you feel how it's come such a long way? What's your perspective of it today in comparison to when we did it? And, tell your child, bro, close this out.
I didn't never know that it would have become this worldwide. But I do know when my cousin started touring and stuff, I said, this is going somewhere. And back then people were saying, you guys can't make a business out of this, and you can't. But there's some people that did make it.
They did well.
Not
millionaires. Every
Let me say something. Just
individual
because you made probably
made well.
there's some people that, that made some money out of it. Because a million in 1970, that's a million.
Right, was a billion today.
Now a million is probably in New York money. New York
500,000.
City, no, not even that. 350,000. So there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But I see like when the Asians got involved. I remember they had in Japan, it was Rocksteady. I'm like, you got Rocksteady over there, you got Rocksteady over here, you got Rocksteady. I said, whoa, now TVB is over here, you even got Rockwell. Rubber Band telling me, yeah, we got Rockwell in Denmark. I said, you gotta be shitting me.
We got Denmark, Canada.
Yeah?
Ecuador.
Listen, Dynasty, TVB, all these groups, all these rockers, Master. Bro, they're in Russia, they're in Poland. Czechoslovakia.
Dynamic Rockers has groups all over.
They're everywhere. Dude, it's become, the fucking internet has allowed people to connect in a certain way that we couldn't do it. We had to physically do something for it to get known.
You had the old school camera taking it. You had the 8mm when they played it. They would play it on the 8mm. It'll be a slow,
and nobody had.
It's almost like you're in the Dover movie theater.
And
black and white.
And going back to the roots.
And 30s.
Going back to the roots, there wasn't too many cameras.
No, nobody had cameras. None of us even took pictures.
If you had a camera, you was probably somebody.
Right. You had to have money.
Believe it or not, I had a camera.
Protection.
I just didn't like carrying the fucking camera. I didn't want to carry it anywhere. Even my little Polaroid. Dude, who the fuck wants to walk around? I didn't have a purse like a fucking girl.
You know,
I didn't want to
I
carry
was trying to make
my
this a child show.
fucking
To keep every fucking sentence. Now we can't make this a child show.
A child what? Song?
No, child. Make this family-oriented show.
Fuck that. Beat this shit. Beat this fucking
This is what happens when you bring an MC into the show.
Yo, I enjoyed this.
Well, you know what? We keep it real, man. Style Boogie. We don't try to,
I enjoyed it.
Thank you, brother.
And I enjoyed looking at the barber chair.
Want a haircut?
Right.
Yeah, he needs a haircut.
Where's the afro? Where's the afro?
All right, where's this out? Let me see yours.
My hair, I got hair still.
Oh, you still got hair?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I fuck with it all the time. But he got hair too.
You got hair
This
too?
motherfucker ain't got no white hair. He ain't got no white hair.
I got a little bit.
I fuck with colors. But,
I don't got no gray hair.
yo, Lenny Len.
Maxwell.
Lenny Len. It was a pleasure.
Lenny Len in the house, man.
If
Rockwell Association.
there's anything that you wanna take us out with, bro?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out
Give a
to
shout out.
the people. They still are original RCA members. You know, Speedy. Give a shout out to my brother Speedy because not for nothing, we talk every day, and he is my brother.
Speedy's a good man.
He's a great man. I want to give a shout out to the original members of Rockwell. All of them, even the ones that have passed away. Rest in
All
peace.
affiliated Rockwell.
That's right, man. Never forget them. And guys from Lords that passed away, because I hung out with those guys. My graffiti guys that we used to hit the bus over there at 180th and Make School. We used to tag up on the buses to all those guys that passed away. Spec was one of them. He was TVB.
Spec, yeah.
You remember Spec?
Yeah, bro. I used to watch. I used to write. So I knew all those guys.
These are guys I used to hang out with when we was young. Hey, man. Whoosh. And the Manhattan crew, you know.
So what?
I want to give a shout out to them. Frost Be Freeze, Take One, Kippy D, aka Rashawn. You know, Top Five.
This is what we're gonna end it. Are you coming back, bro? Are you gonna get affiliated? Are you gonna start doing okay.
I think I might.
You know, people are looking for
into art.
See,
I've been asked to get into the graffiti, or they want to see my skills in the graffiti. I said, I ain't got nothing to prove anymore.
No, but it ain't about proving anything.
but
It's about keeping the history alive.
I know about keeping
keep
history. I might get
alive.
into paintbrush when I get the time, get the money, start doing canvases, you know, and just put
You'll
them
come
stuff
back,
on.
man. You'll come back.
Huh?
You'll come back.
For an interview? No.
Just like that.
Let me say something.
We'll put it on camera.
Oh yeah, I'll come back with me and Speedy might come through here.
Yeah, man.
Speedy was
Definitely.
Hopefully Rubber Band will drop.
Dude, we're waiting for Rubber Band to come to New York.
Yeah.
He keeps saying he's coming.
No, he goes right through.
Matter of
Yeah,
fact,
go through.
Tito wants me to stop by his house.
Yeah.
Because he tells me, I live on Bathgate 180. When are you coming by? I got a gym. He said, you always welcome, Lenny. You always welcome.
I'm gonna come down to Follow Boogie, man.
I'll try to get, but he's a family man. He's 61.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that much older than me.
They were the older crowd. Remember, when I got down with Rockwell, I was like 14. Rockwell already had history. And so the electric boogie was a whole new thing. We didn't mix with the breakdancing. We were like a separate entity.
You're right.
We were a separate entity.
Back then it was separate.
But we got the Tiger shirt, the Tigre with the Rockwell on it. That's what we wore. And we also wore the doctor suits.
You had the
Doctor suits too, bro. I know you guys rock those.
Rocksteady we were no.
I don't know. I'm telling you, had the first one. I say Rockwell did.
The first one that had the doctor suit that I ever seen was Jimmy D.
Oh, Jimmy D? Yeah.
Jimmy D. He wore it first, and that's where he said, yo, gotta get the doctor to see. They call them OR scrubs.
Yeah, it was
It was a two-piece. You had the shirt, you know.
And then when he was talking about that tigre, it was either that or the Izod. You had the little alligator one, or the fucking other one. And those were popular shirts.
The alligator was the cost.
The cost, and then you had the tigre.
Yeah, the tigre. I think that was the knockoff.
The
Tigre,
no,
the tigre was the knockoff. Lacoste is
was
really
the real
the one.
one. That's the alligator.
That was the
Fucking
first one.
alligator.
And that, they little money there. It's little money now.
We didn't have money, so we went with the.
I went with the knockoff.
Anybody remember the sneakers? The stand.
Oh yeah.
They were Adidas. They were Adidas, but they were tennis. They were
Stan
tennis
Smiths.
Stan
Stan
Smith.
Smith, something like that.
Stan Smith.
But they looked like Adidas, but they were all white with the
All
same
white. They were
lines.
tennis sneakers.
Yes,
They were
tennis sneakers. Yeah,
they were
yeah,
tennis
yeah.
sneakers. Now there was a knockoff back in the day that we used to rock.
Because they
They
were
were
cheap.
called set points.
Set points.
Set points. They were all leather. All leather. They just would cost $20.
Dude, my father, I remember when I told my father, I'm gonna end it with this note, my father. He's gonna hate me. I said, yo, Dad, I wanna get a pair of fucking Pro Cans. You remember that they had the line, that they came out the one without the line, that they were double. Those were the ones that we had without that line.
You talking about they had 69ers, you had 69ers, and then you had the other ones, I don't know, they called it, one was Royal, but there was, they both, it was two colors.
But it didn't have that line in
It was a red and a blue.
It didn't have that
Just
line
a red and a
anymore.
blue.
So I remember saying to my father, my father, thanks, that he came
I
home.
had no
He
money.
goes,
I had no
no.
money.
But wait, how you finish,
Converse.
Mama? My father came home and he brought me something called Pro Cons.
Pro Cons.
They had two fucking things here.
Yo, I remember.
They had two things here.
You wanna
like the
laugh?
Pro Kids.
You got a network?
Yo,
Dude,
my mother bought
my
me.
fucking father bought me
Mayor
Pro
Soul,
Cons,
rest in
bro.
peace. My mother bought me a pair of sneakers that were shell-toe. They weren't Adidas. They had 4 stripes. Right? What is 2 stripes?
Too much.
They had no, because Adidas were 3 stripes. It was shell-toe. But I remember I was breakdancing at the school, and it broke apart while I was dancing. Like it just ripped open.
This show tough.
Yo, I had to go, somebody had to go get some tape, and I taped it up and got some tape.
Brother, thank you. Listen, I want to
We
thank
got many stories, man.
Listen, Lenny Len, RCA, Rockwell, motherfucking Rocksteady.
That's
You know, and let's put him down with the Lords in a sense. You know what I'm
That's right.
But I'm very happy that we got to interview you. I'm very happy I got to meet you because I never met you before. Thank you for coming to us.
Yes. I heard about the store. I'm like, man, store. I said, that sounds like a graffiti name.
I used to write store too.
Brother for always, man.
Oh, you left it hanging. Yo, I love that you left it hanging on
What's the
TV.
graffiti name that you tagged up?
Oh, Kid T2.
Alright, Kid T2.
T-E-E, no, T-E-E-2.
Oh, T2.
T2, that was my.
Alright.
So I used 2T and a 2. Or T-E-E-2.
Yeah.
And then, so when I met Rubber Band, right, and he put me down with Rockwell, I'm going by T. I'm like, I want to be T.
But he was a toy.
The problem was there was already a T in Rockwell, Tony T. I believe his name was Tony T.
So they gave you Kid T.
So they gave me Kid T instead, and that's how I got Kid T.
You had Kid T the
Yeah,
toy.
and then when I met Stella, right?
Stella.
Yeah, he was our promoter.
Oh,
Right? He gave me scripts.
I gotta take a shit. I gotta take.
Let's go.